Welcome to 1,000 Nights and 1 Night. Now, when it was the full 60th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that King Sharrkan bade them write for the merchant a mandate after paying him his monies, and they wrote a perpetual patent exempting him from the tithe upon his merchandise, and forbidding any in his government to molest him, and lastly bestowed upon him a splendid dress of honor. Then all about him retired, and none remained save the Kaziz and the merchant, whereupon he said to the judges, I wish you to hear such discourse from this damsel as may prove her knowledge and accomplishments in all claimed for her by this traitor, that we are certain the truth is of his assertions." They answered, "There is no evil in that." And he commanded the curtain to be let down between him and those with him, and the maiden, and those with her, and the woman about the damsel behind the curtains began to wish her joy and kiss her feet and her hands when they learned that she was to become the king's wife. Then they came round her and took off her dresses, easing her of the weight of her clothes, and began to look upon her beauty and loveliness. Presently the wives of the emirs and the wazirs heard that King Sharrkan had bought a handmaiden unmatched for her beauty and learning and philosophy and account-keeping, and versed in all branches of knowledge, that he had paid for her 320,000 dinars, and that he had set her free, and had written a marriage contract with her, and had summoned the four Kazis to make trial of her, how she would answer all their questions and hold disputations with them. So they asked leave of their husbands, and repaired to the palace wherein was Nuzhat al-Zaman. When they came into her, they found the eunuch standing before her, and as soon as she saw the wives of the emirs and wazirs and the grandees of the realm coming to call upon her, she arose to them on her feet and met them with courtesy, her handmaiden standing behind her, and she received them, saying, Yea, be welcome. The while she smiled in their faces as though to win their hearts, and she promised them all manner of good, and seated them in their proper stations, as if she had been brought up with them. So all wondered at her beauty and loveliness, and said to one another, This damsel is none other than a queen, the daughter of a king. Then they sat down, magnifying her worth, and said to her, O our lady, this our city is illumined by thee, and our country, and abode, and birthplace, and reign are honored by thy presence. The kingdom indeed is thy kingdom, and the palace is thy palace, and we all are thy handmaids. So, by Allah, do not shut us out from thy favors and from the sight of thy beauty. And she thanked them for this. All this while the curtains were let down between Nuzhat al-Zaman and the women with her on the other side, and King Sharrkan and the four Kazis and the merchant seated by him on the other. Presently King Sharrkan called to her and said, O Queen, the glory of thine age, this merchant hath described thee as being learned and accomplished, and he claimeth that thou art skilled in all branches of knowledge, even to astrology. So let us hear something of all this he hath mentioned, and favor us with a short discourse on such subjects. She replied, saying, O King, to hear is to obey. The first subjects whereof I will treat are the art of government, and the duties of kings, and what behoveth governors of commandments according to religious law, and what is incumbent on them in respectful of satisfactory speech and manners. Know then, O King, that all men's work tend either to religious or to lack a life, for none attaineth to religion save through this world, because it is none attaineth this because it's the best road to futility. Now, the works of this world are not ordered save by the doings of its people, and men's doings are divided into four divisions: government, commerce, husbandry, and craftsmanship. Now, government requireth perfect administration with just and true judgment, for government is the pivot of the edifice of the world, which world is the road to futurity, since Allah Almighty hath made the world for his servants as vicom to the traveller for the attainment of his goal, and it befitteth each man that he receive of it such measure as shall bring him to Allah, and that he follow not herein his own mind and his individual lust. If folk would take of worldly good with justice and equity, all cause of contention would be cut off. But they take thereof with violence, and after their own desires, and the persistence therein giveth rise to contentions. So they have need of the Sultan, that he do justice between them, and order their affairs. And if the king restrain not his folk from one another, the strong will drive the weak to the wall. Hence Ardeshir saith, religion and kingship be twins. Religion is a hidden treasure, and the king is its keeper. And the divine ordinances and men's intelligence points out that it behoveth the people to adopt a sultan who shall withhold oppressor from oppressed, and do the weak justice against the strong, of the restrain the violence of the proud, and the rebels against rule. For know, O king, that according to the measure of the sultan's good morals, even so will be the time, as saith the apostle of Allah, on whom be peace and salvation. There be two classes, who, if they be good, the people will be good, and if they be bad, the people will be bad, even the ulema and the emirs. And it is said by a certain stage that there be three kinds of king: the king of the faith, the king who protecteth things to which reverence is due, and the king of his own lust. The king of faith obligeth his subjects to follow their faith, and behoveth he be the most faithful, for it is by him that they take pattern in the things of the faith, and it becometh the folk to obey him in whatso he commandeth, according to divine ordinance. But he shall hold the discontented in the same esteem as the contented, because of submission to the decrees of destiny. As for the king who protecteth things to be reverenced, he upholdeth the things of the faith and of the world, and compelleth his folk to follow the divine law, and to preserve the rights of humanity. And it fitteth him to unite pen and sword. For whoso declineth from what pen hath written, his feet slip, and the king shall rectify his error with a sharp sword, and dispute his justice over all mankind. Now, as for the king of his own lust, he hath no religion, but the following his desire, and as he feareth not the wrath of his Lord, who set him on the throne, so his kingdom inclineth to deposition, and the end of his pride is in the house of perdition. And sages say, the king hath need of many people, but the people have need of but one king. Wherefore it beseemeth that he be well acquainted with their natures, that he reduce their discord to concord, that with his justice he encompasses them all, and with his bounties overwhelm them all. And know, O king, that Ardeshir, styled Jamar Shadid, or the live coal, third of the kings of Persia, conquered the whole world and divided it into 4 divisions, and for this purpose gat for himself 4 seal rings, 1 for each division. The first seal was that of the sea, and the place of prohibition, and on it was written alternatives. The second was a seal of tribute, and of the receipt of monies, and on it was written building up. The third was the seal of provisioning department, and on it was written plenty. The fourth was the seal of the oppressed, and on it was written justice. And these usages remained valid in Persia until the revelation of al-Islam. Khosrow also wrote his son, who was with the army, be not thou too open-handed with thy troops, or they will be too rich to need thee. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 61st night, she said, it hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Khosrow wrote his son, be not thou too open-handed with thy troops, or they will be too rich to need thee, nor to be thou niggardly with them, or they will murmur against thee. Give thy giving deliberately, and confer thy favors advisedly. Open thy hand to them in time of success, and stint them not in time of distress. There is a legend that a desert Arab came once to the Caliph al-Mansur, and said, starve thy dog, and he will follow thee. When the Caliph heard these words, he was enraged with the Arab, But Abu al-Abbas of Tus said to him, I fear, if some other than thou should show him a scone, the dog would follow him and leave thee alone. Thereupon the Caliph al-Mansur's wrath subsided, and he knew that the wild Arab had intended no offense, and ordered him a present. And know, O king, that Abd al-Malik bin Marwan wrote to his brother Abd al-Aziz when he dispatched him to Egypt as follows: Pay heed to thy secretaries and thy chamberlains, for the secretaries will acquaint thee with established matters, and the chamberlains with matters of official ceremony, whilst thine expenditure will make thy troops known to thee. Omar bin al-Khattab, whom Allah accept, when engaging a servant, was in the habit of conditioning him with 4 conditions. The first, that he should not ride the baggage beasts. The second, that he should not wear fine clothes. The third, that he should not eat of the spoil. And the fourth, that he should not put off praying till after the proper period. It is said that there is no wealth more profitable than understanding, and there is no understanding like common sense and prudence, and there is no prudence like piety, and that there is no means of drawing near to God like good morals, no measure like good breeding, no traffic like good works, and no profit like earning the divine favor, that there is no temperance like standing within the limits of the law, no science like that of meditation, no worship like obeying the divine commands, no faith like modesty, no calculation like self-abasement, and no honor like knowledge. So guard the head of that which it containeth, and the belly and what it compriseth, and think of death and doom ere it ariseth. Saith Ali, whose face Allah honor. Beware of the wickedness of women, and be on thy guard against them. Consult them and not. But grudge not complaisance to them, lest they greed for intrigue. And eat, quoth he, whoso leaveth the path of moderation, his wits become perplexed. And there be rules for this, which we will mention, if it be Allah's will. And Omar, whom Allah accept, saith that there are 3 kinds of women. Firstly, the true believing, heaven-fearing, loveful, and fruitful, who helpeth her mate against fate, not helping fate against her mate. Secondly, she who loveth her children, but no more. And lastly, she who is shackled, Allah seateth on the neck of whom he will. Men also be 3. The wise, when he exerciseth his own judgment. The wiser, who befalleth somewhat whereof he knoweth not the issue, seeketh folk of good counsel, and active by their advice. And the unwise, irresolute, ignoring the right way, nor heeding those who will guide him straight. Justice is indispensable in all things. Even slave girls have need of justice. And men quote as an instant highway robbers who live by violently mankind. For did they not deal equitably among themselves, and observe justice in dividing their booty, their order would fall to pieces. In order for the rest, the prince of noble qualities and beneficence, cumbevolence, and how excellent is the saying of the poet. By open hand and ruth the youth rose to his tribe's command. Go and do likewise, for the same were easy tasks to thee. And quoth another, in ruth and mildness surety lies, and mercy wins respect, and truth is best asylum for the man of soothfast soul. Whoso for wealth of gold would win, and wear the world's good word, on glorious course must ever be the first to gain the goal. And Nuzhat al-Zaman discoursed upon the policy of kings, till the bystanders said, never have we seen one reason of rule and government like this damsel. Haply she will let us hear some discourse upon subject other than this. When she heard their words and understood them, she said, as for the chapters of good breeding, it is wide of comprehension, being a compend of things perfect. Now it so happened that one day there came to the Caliph Muawiyah one of his companions, who mentioned the people of Iraq and the goodness of their writ, and the Caliph's wife Mason, mother of Yazid, heard his words. So he was gone. She said to the Caliph, O Prince of the Faithful, I would thou let some of the people of Iraq come in and talk to thee, that I may hear their discourse. Therewith Muawiyah said to his attendants, "See who is at the door." And they answered the Bantaman. "Let them come in," said he. So they came in, and with them al-Anaf, son of Qais. Then quote Muawiyah, "Enter, O Abu Ba, and draw a curtain between himself and Mason, that she might hear what they said without being seen herself." Then he said to al-Anaf, "O son of the sea, draw near and tell me what counsel thou hast for me." Quoth al-Hanaf, "Part thy hair, and trim thy mustache, and pare thy nails, and pluck thine armpits, and shave thy pubes, and ever use the toothstick, because therein be 72 virtues, and make the goals of complete ablution on Friday, as an expiation for all between the Fridays." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased saying her permitted say. Now, when it was the 62nd night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Anaf bin Qais replied to al-Muawiyah's question, and ever used the toothstick, because therein be 72 virtues, and make the complete Friday ablution as an expiation for all between the 2 Fridays." Quoth Muawiyah, "Why is thy counsel to thyself?" "To set my feet firmly on the ground, to move them deliberately, and watch over them with mine eyes." "How dost thou order thyself when thou goest in one not of the nobles of thy tribe?" "I lower mine eyes modestly, and I salute first. I avoid what concerneth me not, and I spare my words." "And how when thou goest in to thine equals?" "I give them ear to them when they speak, and I do not assail them when they err." "When thou goest into thy chiefs?" "I salute without making any sign, and await the reply. If they bid me draw near, I draw near, and if they draw off from me, I withdraw." "Well, how dost thou with thy wife?" Quoth Anaf, "Excuse me from answering this, O Commander of the Faithful." But Muawiyah cried, "I conjure thee, inform me." He said, "I entreat her kindly, and show her familiarity, and am large in expenditure, for wife was created from the crooked rib. And how dost thou when thou hast a mind to lie with her?" "I bid her perfume herself, and kiss her till she is moved to desire. Then should it be as thou knowest, I throw her on her back. If the seed abide in her womb, I say, Oh, Allah make it blessed, and let it be not a wastrel, but fashion it in the best of fashions. Then I arise from her to ablution, and first I pour water over my hands, and then over my body, and lastly I praise Allah for the joy He hath given me." Said Muawiyah, "Thou hast answered right well, and now tell me, what be thy requirements?" Said Anaf, "I would have thee rule thy subjects in the fear of Allah, and do even-handed justice between them." Thereupon Anaf rose to his feet, and left the Caliph's presence, and when he had gone, Mason said, "Were there but this man in Iraq, he would suffice it." Then continued Nuzhat al-Zaman, and all this is in a section of the chapter of good breeding. And know, O King, that Muawiyah was intendant of the public treasury during the caliphate of Omar bin al-Khattab. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. And so do I cease to do this reading, until it be morrow.